The people who changed their lives after losing everything. When life falls apart, what would you do if you lost everything? Your job, your home, your sense of purpose. Would you break? Or would you rebuild? For most of us, losing everything feels like the end. But for some, it became the beginning of something greater. Today, we're sharing the incredible stories of people who hit rock bottom, only to rise stronger than ever. Their stories prove one thing: you don't lose everything. You lose what's meant to push you towards something better. Story number 1. The man who lost his business and built an empire. Meet Daniel. For 10 years, he poured everything into his company. His blood, sweat, and sacrifice built a thriving business, until one day, it all collapsed. A bad investment, a failed deal, and in an instant, he lost everything. Bankrupt. No savings. No plan B. For months, he spiraled. Depression. Self-doubt. He felt like a failure. But then, something clicked. He realized he had two choices: stay broken or start over. With no money, he started freelancing. He took small jobs, barely scraping by, but he kept moving forward. Slowly, he rebuilt. 5 years later, he's the CEO of a new multi-million-dollar company, wiser, stronger, and grateful that he lost everything, because it forced him to build something better. His story teaches us this: losing everything isn't failure. It's a chance to build smarter, stronger, and better than before. Story number 2. The woman who went from homeless to helping others. Then there's Sarah, a single mother who lost her job, her home, and her hope. She never imagined she'd be sleeping in a shelter with her 2 kids, wondering how she would feed them the next day. Life had never felt so cruel. But in that moment, she made a decision. She would fight for her future. With nothing but a borrowed phone, she started learning about personal finance. She reached out to community programs. She applied for every job she could find. It took time. It took sacrifice. But after years of struggle, she not only rebuilt her life, she built a nonprofit that helps struggling families get back on their feet. She turned her pain into purpose. Her journey proves this. Rock bottom is where you find out what you're truly capable of. Story number 3. The athlete who lost everything and found his true calling. Mark was at the top of his game, a professional athlete with fame, fortune, and a future, until one moment changed everything. A devastating injury ended his career overnight. No plan, no backup, no idea who he was without his sport. For months, he struggled. He drowned in regret, in anger, in the fear that he was nothing without his talent. But then, he made a choice to stop grieving what was lost and start creating what was next. He channeled his knowledge into training others. He built an online fitness brand, teaching young athletes the lessons he wished he had learned. Today, he's more successful than ever, not as a player, but as a mentor who changes lives. His story reminds us, when one door closes, it's because you were meant to build your own. What these stories teach us. What do Daniel, Sarah, and Mark all have in common? They lost everything, and instead of letting it destroy them, they used it as fuel to rebuild. Here's what you need to understand. Losing everything isn't the end. It's a reset. It's life stripping away what's holding you back so you can become who you were truly meant to be. Your turn, rebuilding starts now. Maybe you've lost something, your job, your money, your confidence. Maybe you feel like life has pushed you down so hard that you don't know how to stand back up. But let me tell you something. You are not finished. Your future isn't decided by what you've lost. It's decided by what you do next. So ask yourself, are you going to let this break you? Or are you going to rise? Because the people who win in life aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, but refuse to stay down.